Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Ciani. I grew up right around the corner in Commack. I'm a Commack high school graduate, 95. Go Cougars. I also should let you all know that I am also a fourth grade teacher right here in Commack. I have a degree in elementary education, special education. I also have a professional diploma in school district administration. And I do a lot of work with the union. You know, I talk to teachers, and I serve up the red meat. I know a lot of the teachers in this room, and I am totally stepping outside my comfort zone tonight because I'm not going to talk to you about politics. I'm not going to talk to you about anything other than somebody I'm an expert in, my own son. This is my son, Grayson. As you can see, by God's grace, he inherited his mother's looks. And I think the world is a better place for that. And like everybody in this room, the birth of my child, my son, I knew this was going to be tough. All right, we're going to get through this. Became the focus of our lives. I've never thought so hard about the ingredients in every single one of my household cleaners when I had a child, or what type of bottle we were using. Also, it was a whole new lexicon, if you don't mind. By 7 months, we knew that our son had missed his first benchmarks, and we welcomed a physical therapist into our lives as well as a new boy. And I know some of you in the room probably know what this is like. It's not the easiest thing. I'm still not used to speaking about it. It's not a regular thing. She was tough as nails on my son. She was great. Our first goal was just to get Grayson to lift his head up. So 3 times a day, I became the vaudeville act, dancing with baby toys to capture his heads-up attention. And you can see he's a struggling guy here. And eventually, as time went by, his head grew stronger, until one day, after many weeks and months, he became really good at it. By 8 months, we were sent to a neurologist, and by 11 months, also the 3rd day of a brand new school year, we had a diagnosis, Angelman syndrome. I remember the first night the neurologist told us not to look up the disorder. We met with the genetic, but of course we cheated. And it was a very tough night. Angelman syndrome is a kitchen sink sort of disorder. It's got seizures, sleeplessness, inability to talk ever. And in case you didn't realize it by now, us Italians, well, we like to talk. But possibly the inability to walk, toilet, dress, in other words, a total cluster. Well, this is G-rated. For we'll just call it a blind side. Nobody tells you what to do. The doctors hand you one of those pamphlets like you would get for like high cholesterol. I think we got a printout from WebMD as well. So being a little OCD, we did our homework, we researched, reached out to experts, found a community. We became the best darn versed amateur biochemists this side of Suffolk County. Our physical therapist connected us with early intervention, and a team was put into place. An occupational therapist, a special education teacher, a speech therapist, as well as his incredibly gifted physical therapist. As time went by, Grayson sat. He commando crawled, then crawled, and finally began to use walkers. Every step forward was paid for in tears, but he was defying the odds of his disability. Grayson's first day of school, one more. Grayson's first day of school was at 2.5. It was a tough day, and I teared up but just like tonight, in a super masculine way. And if I knew how much my son would grow, I would have danced in the streets the day that the bus pulled away. The teachers at my son's school, my wife and I, we all created an individualized education plan. This is a plan that is specially designed to address all of my son's needs. When I was in school for teaching, there was a dream that by this point, every child would have a special education, an individualized education plan. A plan that every single child, whether you had special needs or you were regular needs, but every child would be treated as an individual, and every child would have a formal, individualized education plan. That's what my professors told us that we were headed. And it seemed to me like we were heading in that direction. But I was grateful my son had this, because day in, day out, the school taught only to his needs. By age 5, my son was walking all by himself. He talks with an iPad mini and definitely gets his point across. And yes, he even talks with the Italian hands. We're working on helping him to get himself dressed, eat with utensils, and of course, navigating his steps better, as we have a dog, a bulldog, who's lazy and lies about the house, and my son needs to step over this dog at some point. I don't know what the future will bring to my son, but I think we've shattered the glass ceiling here already, and it's all thanks to my son's family of teachers. What's the point of telling you all this and putting myself through this tonight? Well, I was informed about a month ago that my son, who's struggling to meet basic skills that he will need for his life, is going to have to sit down and take the New York State Common Core math and ELA tests when he reaches the 3rd grade. A test that fails 70% of regular ed students. So I said, no, my son will not ever take those tests. It is beyond absurd. My son's education plan is suited to his needs, Grayson's needs. My son will not be held to an impossible standard where 70% of students in New York State fail. My little man is busting his tail to achieve basic life skills and should not be insulted, belittled, degraded by an impossibly high benchmark. My son's teachers, his miracle workers, should not be punished for teaching to his needs day in, day out. I say no. Will not have to waste one moment of my son's valuable school career teaching to some state-mandated test. She can teach him the lessons that he needs that day, at that point in his development, and heaven forbid allow him to continue loving to learn and grow. Theodore Roosevelt said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds." 6 years. My son is in the arena. My wife and I are in the arena. My son's teachers are in the arena. We are striving valiantly. We don't need a critic. We don't need these tests.